The rabbit's flames looked brighter below the equator, which Neto noticed as well, but we didn't know what to make of it. Perhaps it was our own perception that was more vivid. It had never occurred to me that the flames might have some healing powers. Neto didn't know he said the flames make him a little sleepy sometimes, and they can be soothing to me as well. Still, I had recuperated quickly after that whole ordeal with Simon, and the rabbit was always there at my side. It couldn't be discounted. The chaotic traffic of Lima was paradoxically calming to Neto's nerves. He had to give in, I suppose. Too many close calls, so to speak, with our taxi, pedestrians, bicycles, mopeds, as we wound our way to our hotel not far from the British Embassy in a neighborhood called Mira-flores. Had I been here before? Yes, I think a long, long time ago aboard a ship somewhere along the coast. I could recall a peaceful time, a rare time of contemplation. Perhaps a depression, perhaps also calm, however. Had Balkus entered my life yet? No, unlikely, but I was, perhaps at a time, reconsidering the chaos that I wore like a shield from any semblance of intimacy with others, keeping company only with the disorderly and drunk, outpacing anyone that tried to attempt anything like the gross indecency of friendship or something more. We walked along the cliff-top trail overlooking a foggy bank, looking almost like a storm in the horizon. In the high periphery, paragliders danced above and then below us, their white sails twisting like petals in the wind. A single stroke of lightning out at sea, then thunder, and then a light rain began to fall. A few little tiny children screamed at the sight of Bunny on my shoulder as we headed inland to our destination. It frightened her a little, and her bright flames surged, almost blinding me on the side of my face. They faded eventually as her heart rate calmed. So brave, yet she could still be startled by the silliest thing. We found the small shop. It was conservatively dressed with dark curtains. Outside was a rainbow flag and a Jolly Roger, funnily enough. It amused me to think of Leona coming here. Well, I'm going in. Bunny hopped on Neto's shoulder.
Have fun.
I won't be long, hopefully. Hola, lo siento. Soy un pirata y estoy en busca de tu joyería más gay. The young man returned with a little box like for a ring. He smiled and then resumed knitting, averting his gaze as I looked in. In it was indeed a ring, brass most likely, with a rose design embedded in a square. Hard to determine its provenance. Easy to see why brass was chosen, however, without Balkus's skill. Leona had easily engraved on the inside in a rather scratchy lettering, Puerto Mal. There was only one flight, a very small plane, to Puerto Maldonado, port to this part of the Amazon forest. Leaving tomorrow evening, so we relished in the opportunity to laze about, watch the sunset. I bought myself and Neto some new boots and a few extra light cotton shirts. We spent an hour in a cliff-top garden as the rabbit foraged for roots. We cloud-watched as I played with the ring, finally realizing it could fit on my pinky finger. The breath of the Amazon kissed the jungle town of Puerto Maldonado. In a common square we wandered about, the humidity tamping down our feelings, our thoughts, and maybe our concerns, the visages of the locals, young and old, calm, compassionate, good-humored, some attempting to sell us local goods, but taking no offense at our polite refusal. Finally, a wee little one in a multicolored dress grabbed my hand, startling, only that the touch did not startle me, but delighted me by the tenderness of the little hand. She twisted my ring to see it properly and then grabbed my hand and wrist fiercely and guided me, with Neto following to a man weaving baskets, the baskets shaped like roses. The man saw us, said something to the girl who released my hand, and then pointed us down a road towards the river. The little girl accompanied us down to the river and waved us off, as sweet as can be as we maneuvered the motorized longboat down the river. Neto was nervous, but I assured him. "Christ, Neto, I've captained a frigate. You don't need to fuss." The motor sputtered for a moment, and for a second I was going to eat my words, but soon after it resumed and I hid my expression of concern. It would be dusk in a few hours, and if I understood the man who had provided us this boat, there was a well-marked lodging upriver eventually. Bunny surveyed the bow like a mermaid, and Netto sat nervously in the middle with our bags. When a few caiman or alligators appeared, Netto appealed to her and she scurried to his lap, more to calm him than anything. A light rain then, staccato on our little tin roof and counterpoint to the bass rumble of the motor. A flock of parrots death-dived from a cliff and flew past and around us, gossiping at our arrival. All around was green on green on green with gems of every color. Plants bursting with nectar and scent and tempting our inner Adam and Eve to relinquish to our eternal origins, to the true sense of what God is, the natural world in all its complex beauty and thrilling presence. Origin. The word danced in my mind, teasing, whispered like a mantra. I'd never thought how it had the word gin in it. Ori, is that a word? The Amazon made a North American forest feel like a manicured garden. I had been here before, not here specifically, but the feeling was the same. Like being beaten down by sensation. Not only the humidity, but again the presence, the inhale and exhale of plant and wilderness, hidden beasts of every kind, waiting to join with you in whatever way you could be useful to their curiosity, agnostic to discernment between pleasure and pain. It was all simply exuberant growth, overwhelming any decay, even that of our own thoughts. Much like he had been in the Lima traffic, I saw Netto eventually relinquish. This place required a surrender, something I perhaps was more used to faking. Perhaps I wasn't being totally honest about how coming back to this place was electrifying me in ways mysterious, thrilling, but also dangerous. When we set foot on the grassy bank, Bunny was startled by a spider the size of Netto's hand, but she quickly burst into the brightest ball of flame, and the spider scurried off. The light was useful to get us up the trail, as the solar-powered lanterns only dimly showed us the way. Finally, a young man appeared with a butterfly tattoo on his face and cat-eyed mascara, greeting us expectantly. Our cabin was nestled between two thick knotted trees, vines like veins illuminated by the bright lantern on its porch. Inside the forest, the air was more still but also thicker, the sudden awareness of the entirety of nature all around like a sleeping giant. The young person came back with a bowl of rice and yucca shaped in stars and a jug of water and a set of towels. We sat on the deck and ate in silence. I removed my shirt and breathed in the night air. Ah, to think we were just in London. How different even the air to breathe. Bunny sat before us, her ears twitching, feeling.
Yes, I've never lived so much in nature, but for a reason. I'm finding it a little hard to think at present, but not an altogether unpleasant feeling.
Some kind of lizard scurried in the grass before us. Its middle was green and its tail and head were gray, which was an interesting camouflage I didn't think I'd seen before. A monkey of some kind howled, a howler, no doubt. No doubt, the word stuck in my mind. The netting on our beds reminded me of my shipping days, of pestilence and tropical heat, of drinking myself unconscious. I was glad I was here now. No doubt, the words repeated.
Harry, are you awake? I don't know why I should feel this way, but I feel embarrassed to see Leona.
You? I'm the one who should be uncomfortable.
Yes? Why?
It's complicated. Why should you be embarrassed? Leona always liked you.
Yes, I guess I know. I'm of no negative opinion on either her or Balkis. I'm just remembering that our times together, I was so distant. I probably came off as arrogant. I let my brotherly feelings for Agatha, the complications of our relationship, cloud my ability to get to know anyone. That's all. I'm embarrassed I was not more caring, more considerate.
Yes, well, you're not alone in that feeling. I can't be entirely sure what she has against me. Perhaps some things were said in the heat of the moment on both our parts, but Also, I was...
Distant?
Yes, but no. If anything, I was overly present in a way, overly focused, zealot-like. I hate to blame your sister for this, but I bought into her fervor, to her goals, her lofty ideals, without considering if they were truly my own, if I wasn't exhausting myself, desperate for her approval. Bunny shifted at the foot of my bed. I could see her ears twitching.
Well, we were a team, I guess, Harry. She was, for good or ill, the chosen leader in a way, the tactician. The others were as much part of the decision-making. Just because it felt that way, we all were convinced, we agreed. She did not manipulate us unless you mean by her knowing how much she was loved and admired. If anyone failed her, it was me.
No one feels that way about you. Or no one feels that way about anyone else, only themselves, believe me. Except maybe Balkis, who is more evolved, or Leona, who may deflect the blame. I think she simply may harbor something unrelated, perhaps.
Who knows? I certainly wasn't paying attention, not really, and then I was gone.
Yes, I remember.
I hate to say it, Harry, but my deepest shame was not that I was missing necessarily, but that I almost would not give up my time away for the alternative. Perhaps in every other alternate universe, I would be away in some form, and this one was the best possible one. It does not make sense, of course. If I could have saved Agatha, I would have. If I had known, it would have made the difference.
The bunny hopped off my bed, struggled under the netting, skipped across the floor, then under Neto's netting and onto his lap. She settled on his chest. I'm not sure it would have made the difference. One thing I know for sure now is that she had a much bigger picture in mind. She saw the coming devastation, held herself responsible. It was why I was so bullish, so intent on being a good soldier for her. There were stakes I couldn't comprehend. Maybe should have asked, although I was thinking in a way. Perhaps she didn't think big enough.
She would not like to hear that. I mean, you know, that's like telling a chess player they do not understand the game.
That's it. That's what's reminding me of Simon, of her to him. The sense of having been delegated a task, having a clear goal in mind, like someone gave them a rule book to a game of sorts.
I see. Yes, I know what you mean, but Simon was misguided by someone, I think. Are you saying Agatha too? By who? Other than him?
He came after even I met your sister, and surely she was no different in your youth.
No, it's true. She was always the same, always a step ahead, and me a step behind, but when we became what we became, she was changed, we both were. She became more intense, more controlling too, perhaps. Although who knows, we were always like opposite magnets in a way. The more we tried to get close, the further we got. I think it was the urge. It was what it was.
I never had a mentor. What about you?
No, she, did not die, at least of my knowledge, but she refused me. For the best, I think.
And Agatha? I saw Bunny perk up on Neto's chest. Neto seemed frozen in thought.
I do not know why I hesitate, Harry. No, Agatha did not either. How could she? The woman, she disappeared shortly after. I never saw her again. I don't see why Agatha would have. Unless I had thought it before, but never thought to ask her. Yes, I hadn't thought of this in years, unless Agatha was not refused by her. Unless the ball of resin, all the knowledge Agatha told me she got from the lady in the village, unless that was... It would not make sense. I do not know why she would not tell me in that case. I would be worried if she... Damn it. I got chills all of a sudden.
Bunny scampered off of Netto and through the netting and stood in the middle of the wooden cabin in the dark, transfixed on the light of the moon that was now beaming through our small window. We both looked at her little face, looking up at the pale blue light, lost in thought.
What is it, Bunny? Anyway, it does not matter. What is done is done. What could we have done differently except everything, right, Harry?
No doubt.
Have you known any vampires whose powers have to do with the moon, Harry?
Not personally, no. Why do you ask?
Just curious, because of the compound, something from that.
Bunny's flames remind me of moonlight.
Yes.
There are tales that the original powers come from the moon. Surely you've heard that.
The other him, you mean? Yes, of course. The man, the myth, the legend, as they say.
And do you believe that he was killed, a stake through the heart, his head lopped off?
Well, that was years before me, many years before you. To be honest, I've had the conversation a number of times through the years, but never have I met another vampire with something different to say, as if we're all passed down the same story. Nor have I met a vampire whose origin stems from him. I think we would know, would we not?
Yes, I think so, at least. Think we would. To be honest, the closest I've seen, outside perhaps myself or maybe Leona, of the ferocity that I'd imagine in a vampire's gaze is you and your sister. But that makes sense, as you're the eldest.
Besides him, you mean?
Oh? Him? I didn't know that.
Yes, Gree was a bit younger, Leona too, and Balkis and you are the babies, but he was older than us, that I know. I can't quite recall how I know, but I'm sure of it now.
Tonight is full of discoveries. Well, I think I'll sleep then. I raised my netting, and Bunny scurried under it and down by my feet, curling up quietly. Good night, Netto.
Good night, Harry.
Good night, Bunny. I imagined then Agatha's voice wishing us good night. Before closing my eyes, I looked up one last time at the pale blue moon and saw its light shiver like a broken neon light.